In a kingdom cradled by rolling hills and ancient forests, where the air carried the scent of pine and wild flowers, there stood a castle of grey stone, its towers piercing the sky like the quills of a scribe. The kingdom of Eldoria was a land of contrasts. Lush meadows bloomed beside craggy mountains, and bustling villages nestled against the edges of dark, whispering woods. At the heart of Eldoria, the castle was both a beacon of power and a place of secrets, its halls echoing with the footsteps of kings and the whispers of intrigue. Within these walls lived a queen named Lysandra, renowned for her beauty and grace. Her hair was a cascade of midnight, her eyes a deep emerald, and her smile could warm the coldest winter day. Lysandra was beloved by the people, her kindness as radiant as her appearance. She spent her days tending to the needs of Eldoria, ensuring the poor were fed and the sick cared for. Her husband, King Eadric, was a just ruler, his heart as steadfast as the mountains, and together they brought a golden age to the kingdom. When Lysandra gave birth to a daughter, the kingdom rejoiced. The child was named Snow White, for her skin was as fair as freshly fallen snow, her lips as red as the roses that bloomed in the castle gardens, and her hair as black as the ravens that soared above the towers. Snow White was a child of light, her laughter filling the castle like music. Lysandra doted on her, weaving tales of enchanted forests and brave heroes, while Eadric taught her the names of the stars that glittered over Eldoria. But joy, like spring, is fleeting. When Snow White was but 7 years old, Queen Lysandra fell ill, her strength fading like a candle in the wind. Despite the efforts of healers and the prayers of the kingdom, Lysandra passed into the eternal night, leaving behind a grieving king and a daughter whose heart was broken. The castle, once alive with warmth, grew cold, its halls draped in mourning. King Eadric, consumed by sorrow, withdrew from the world, his days spent in solitude. Snow White, too young to understand the depths of her loss, wandered the castle, her small hands clutching the embroidered shawl her mother had left her. The people of Eldoria whispered of their king's grief, fearing the kingdom would falter without Lysandra's light. In time, Eadric sought to mend his heart and provide Snow White with a mother. He married a noble woman named Ravenna, whose beauty was as striking as it was cold. Ravenna was a woman of ambition, her eyes like polished onyx, her hair a golden wave that shimmered in the torchlight. She came from a distant duchy, her lineage steeped in mystery, and whispers followed her tales of a family versed in the old arts, the magic of shadows and mirrors. Ravenna's beauty was undeniable, but her heart was a labyrinth of envy and pride. She craved power, not love, and saw Snow White not as a daughter but as a rival, a reminder of Lysandra's enduring legacy. As Snow White grew, her beauty blossomed, surpassing even her mother's. Her kindness, too, mirrored Lysandra's, drawing the love of all who met her. She spent her days in the castle gardens, tending roses and singing to the birds, or visiting the villages, where she shared bread with children and listened to the tales of elders. The people called her their snowflower, a beacon of hope in a kingdom still shadowed by loss. Ravenna, however, saw Snow White's radiance as a threat. In her chambers, high in the castle's tallest tower, Ravenna kept a secret, a mirror framed in silver, its surface rippling like liquid starlight. This was no ordinary mirror. It was a relic of ancient magic, bound to speak the truth to its mistress. Each evening, Ravenna stood before it, her voice sharp as a blade. Mirror, mirror, on the wall, who is the fairest of them all? The mirror, its voice like the wind through a hollow reed, would reply, You, my queen, are the fairest of all. These words fed Ravenna's pride, soothing her restless heart. But as Snow White grew into a young woman, the mirror's answer began to change. One fateful night, when Snow White was 16, the mirror spoke words that pierced Ravenna like a dagger. Snow White, with her heart so pure and her beauty bright, is the fairest in the land. Ravenna's rage was a storm, her envy a poison that coursed through her veins. She could not bear the thought that a mere girl, the daughter of her predecessor, outshone her. She paced her chamber, her mind twisting with dark plans. Snow White must be removed, not just from the castle but from the world. Ravenna summoned her most loyal servant, a huntsman named Torin, whose skill with a blade was matched only by his silence. Take the girl into the forest, Ravenna commanded, her voice cold as winter. Kill her, and bring me her heart as proof. Let no one know of this deed, or your life will be forfeit. Torin, a man of few words but deep conscience, bowed and left the chamber, his heart heavy. He had watched Snow White grow, seen her kindness, and felt the warmth of her smile. Yet he feared Ravenna's wrath and the dark power she wielded. The next morning, he led Snow White into the forest under the pretense of gathering herbs for the castle as healers. Snow White, trusting and unaware, followed, her basket swinging at her side, her voice humming a melody her mother had taught her. The forest was a world unto itself, its trees ancient and gnarled, their branches weaving a canopy that filtered the sunlight into dappled patterns. Birds flitted through the undergrowth, and the air was alive with the hum of life. Snow White, enchanted by the forest's beauty, wandered deeper, picking wild flowers and marveling at the moss-covered stones. Torin, trailing behind, gripped his dagger, his heart warring with his duty. At a clearing by a sparkling stream, Torin stopped. He raised his blade, his hand trembling. Snow White turned, her eyes meeting his, and in that moment, he saw not a princess but a girl, innocent and full of life. His resolve crumbled. Run, child, he whispered, his voice breaking. Flee into the forest and never return. The queen seeks your death. Snow White's eyes widened, fear replacing her joy. She dropped her basket, the flowers scattering across the grass, and ran, her heart pounding as she plunged into the forest's depths. Torin, unable to return empty-handed, slew a young deer and cut out its heart, hoping to deceive Ravenna. He returned to the castle, his soul heavy with the weight of his choice, knowing he had betrayed his queen but saved an innocent. Snow White ran until her legs burned and her breath came in gasps. The forest, once enchanting, now seemed a labyrinth of shadows, its paths twisting and turning. Night fell, and the air grew cold, the stars hidden by the dense canopy. Exhausted and afraid, Snow White curled up beneath a great oak, her shawl wrapped tightly around her. She wept for her lost home, her father, and the mother she barely remembered, her tears mingling with the dew on the forest floor. As dawn broke, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, Snow White awoke to the sound of birdsong. Her fear had not vanished, but a spark of determination flickered within her. She would not let Ravenna's cruelty define her fate. She wandered deeper into the forest, her stomach aching with hunger, her feet blistered from her flight. As the sun climbed higher, she stumbled upon a sight that seemed a dream: a small cottage, its walls made of stone and timber, its roof thatched with straw. Ivy climbed its walls, and a garden of herbs and wild flowers bloomed around it, tended with care. The cottage was unlike any Snow White had seen, its door barely tall enough for her to enter without stooping. Curiosity overcoming her fear, she knocked, but no answer came. The door was unlatched, and she stepped inside, finding a cozy room filled with 7 small chairs, 7 small plates, and 7 small beds, each neatly made. The air smelled of bread and wood smoke, and a fire crackled in the hearth. Snow White, ravenous, nibbled at the food left on the table: a bit of bread, a sip of soup before exhaustion overcame her. She climbed onto one of the beds, curling up beneath the patchwork quilt, and fell into a deep sleep. The cottage belonged to 7 dwarfs, brothers who worked in the mountains, mining for gems and gold. Their names were Eldrin, Brom, Thrain, Dern, Gorham, Faler, and Varn, each with a distinct temperament, from Eldrin's quiet wisdom to Varn's boisterous laughter. They were not mere laborers but keepers of ancient knowledge, their lives intertwined with the forest's magic. They had lived in the cottage for generations, their bond forged by shared toil and mutual respect. When the dwarfs returned that evening, their lanterns casting golden light across the clearing, they were startled to find their home disturbed. Plates were touched, chairs askew, and a stranger slept in Varn's bed. They gathered around Snow White, their voices a mix of curiosity and caution. Eldrin, the eldest, studied her face, noting the innocence in her features. "She is no thief," he said. "She is in need." Snow White awoke to the sight of 7 small figures, their eyes bright with curiosity. She sat up, her heart racing, but their kind faces eased her fear. She told them her story of Ravenna's envy, Tauren's mercy, and her flight into the forest. The dwarfs listened, their expressions darkening at the mention of the queen's cruelty. Eldrin spoke for them all. "You are safe here, child. This forest is our home, and we will protect you." Grateful, Snow White offered to help with their household tasks: cooking, cleaning, tending the garden in exchange for their shelter. The dwarfs, touched by her kindness, agreed. Thus began a new chapter in Snow White's life. She found joy in the simple rhythms of the cottage, learning the dwarfs' ways, from Brom's recipes for hearty stew to Faler's songs of the mountains. The dwarfs, in turn, grew to love her, their days brightened by her laughter and her gentle presence. Back at the castle, Ravenna stood before her mirror, presenting the deer's heart as proof of Snow White's death. "Mirror, mirror, on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" she asked, expecting her triumph to be confirmed. But the mirror's voice was unyielding. "Snow White, living in the forest with the 7 dwarfs, is the fairest of all." Ravenna's scream echoed through the tower, her rage a tempest that rattled the castle stones. She realized Tauren had betrayed her, and her hatred for Snow White grew into an obsession. She delved deeper into her dark arts, brewing a potion in the cauldron that bubbled with unnatural light. From this, she crafted a poisoned apple, its skin red as blood, its core laced with the spell of eternal sleep. Disguised as an old peddler woman, her beauty hidden beneath a cloak and a wizard guise, Ravenna set out to find Snow White. In the forest, Snow White's days were filled with peace, but the dwarfs warned her to beware strangers, sensing the queen's malice. One morning, as the dwarfs left for the mines, they cautioned her to keep the door locked. Snow White nodded, but her trusting heart was her weakness. When Ravenna, disguised as a peddler, knocked on the cottage door, offering a basket of apples, Snow White's kindness overcame her caution. She opened the door, accepting the apple as a gift. The moment she bit into the fruit, the spell took hold. Snow White fell to the floor, her eyes closing as if in a dream, her breath slowing to a whisper. Ravenna, triumphant, fled into the forest, her laughter a cruel echo. When the dwarfs returned, they found Snow White lifeless, the apple beside her. Their grief was a storm, their cries shaking the cottage. They tried every remedy they knew, herbs, chants, even the old magic of the forest, but nothing could wake her. Unwilling to bury her, for she seemed only asleep, the dwarfs crafted a glass coffin, its surface etched with runes of protection. They placed Snow White within, her beauty untouched by the spell, and set the coffin in a glade where wild flowers bloomed. The forest mourned with them, its birds silent, its wind soft with sorrow. Months passed, and the tale of the sleeping maiden spread beyond the forest. A prince named Eadric, from a neighboring kingdom, heard the story while traveling through Eldoria. Drawn by curiosity and a longing for the truth behind the legend, he ventured into the forest, guided by the dwarf's tales. When he saw Snow White in her glass coffin, her face radiant even in sleep, his heart stirred with a love he could not explain. He knelt beside her, whispering a prayer for her awakening. Moved by a force he did not understand, Eadric leaned forward and kissed her lips, a gesture of pure hope. The forest seemed to hold its breath, and then, as if stirred by an unseen hand, Snow White's eyes fluttered open. The spell was broken not by the kiss alone, but by the love and purity it carried, a counter to Ravenna's dark magic. The dwarfs rejoiced, their tears turning to laughter, and the forest sang with life once more. Snow White, awakened, learned of Eadric's journey and the dwarfs' care. She thanked them with all her heart, promising to never forget their kindness. Eadric, smitten, asked her to return with him to his kingdom, where they could build a life together. Snow White agreed, but not before ensuring the dwarfs would always have a home with her. When Ravenna learned of Snow White's awakening, her rage consumed her. She stood before her mirror, demanding answers, but the mirror, now silent, cracked under the weight of her fury. Ravenna's dark magic turned against her, her beauty fading as her heart withered. She fled the castle, vanishing into the wilderness, her fate unknown but her power broken. Snow White and Eadric returned to Eldoria, where King Elric, freed from Ravenna's influence, welcomed his daughter with tears of joy. The kingdom celebrated their union, and Snow White became a queen, her kindness and wisdom guiding Eldoria into a new era of peace. The dwarfs visited often, their laughter filling the castle, a reminder of the forest that had saved her. The tale of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs spread across the lands, told by firesides and in grand halls, a story of beauty, courage, and the triumph of love over envy. The meaning of the tale Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is a timeless fairy tale that weaves together themes of innocence, envy, resilience, and the transformative power of love and kindness. At its core, it is a story about the human struggle between light and darkness, both within and without, and the enduring strength of a pure heart. Snow White represents innocence and goodness, her beauty a reflection of her inner purity. Her journey from a beloved princess to a fugitive in the forest mirrors the trials we all face when confronted with adversity. Her trust, while nearly her downfall, also underscores her compassion, a quality that draws others to protect her, the huntsmen, the dwarfs, and ultimately the prince. Her resilience in the face of Ravenna's cruelty teaches us that true strength lies not in resisting suffering but in maintaining hope and kindness through it. Ravenna, the wicked queen, embodies envy and the destructive power of pride. Her obsession with being the fairest reflects a deeper insecurity, a need to define herself through external validation. Her reliance on dark magic and deceit highlights the futility of seeking power at the expense of others. Her downfall, caused by her own rage, serves as a cautionary tale about the self-destructive nature of envy and the emptiness of superficial pursuits. The Seven Dwarfs are a symbol of community and unconditional support, each with their unique traits. They represent the diversity of human nature and the strengths found in unity. Their decision to shelter Snow White, despite the risks, speaks to the power of selflessness and the bonds formed through mutual care. Their role as protectors and friends underscores the idea that true family is not always bound by blood but by shared values and kindness. The forest, a place of both danger and refuge, symbolizes the unknown, the challenges and opportunities that life presents. Snow White's journey through it reflects the passage from innocence to wisdom, a journey we all undertake as we navigate life's uncertainties. The glass coffin, preserving her in a state of eternal sleep, represents the liminal space between despair and hope, where transformation becomes possible through love and sacrifice. Prince Eadric's role, while brief, is significant. His kiss, breaking the spell, is not merely a romantic gesture but a symbol of love's power to heal and awaken. It suggests that true love, whether romantic, familial, or communal, can overcome even the darkest of curses, restoring life and hope. The tale also explores the theme of justice. Ravenna's defeat is not through violence but through the natural consequences of her actions, reinforcing the idea that evil often sows the seeds of its own destruction. Snow White's triumph, conversely, comes through her unwavering goodness, illustrating that virtue, though tested, can endure and prevail. Ultimately, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is a story about the resilience of the human spirit and the power of love and kindness to overcome hatred and envy. It reminds us that beauty is not merely skin deep but rooted in compassion and integrity. It encourages us to face our fears, trust in the goodness of others, and believe in the possibility of redemption and renewal, even in the darkest of times. The tale endures because it speaks to universal truths about the battles we fight within ourselves and the hope that carries us through to a brighter dawn.